Yo, this is your man, David L. David, and yes, this is the Flex Radio. I am here today with, of course, my co-host. That is Giovanni Jackson. Giovanni.
Hey.
And, of course, the
What's up? What's up?
invincible artist, Nikhil Narayan. Was
Yo, yo,
popping last week.
yo.
Yeah. So, you know what? Listen, when we talk about music, all right, when we talk, well, a lot of, okay, let me ask you guys this question. Give me two of your all-time favorite groups.
The Temptations.
Mm-hmm.
Shy Lights.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
Jackson.
good one.
Giovanni,
Jackson.
I was waiting for you to say that. Come on, Giovanni, how you going? How you going to put your siblings
Wow.
second or third? But one of my favorite groups, actually two of my favorite groups. Well, I got three favorite groups. That's going to be, of course, the Temptations. That's going to be the Jackson 5. Well, let's put that first. Let's put the Jackson 5 first because, I'm more the age of, the 70s, where I was, appreciate the Jacksons first. And then later on it became the Temptations. And then, of course, New Edition. Those are my all-time favorite groups. Not saying I don't have more, but those are my all-time favorites. Yep. But we have a treat for everyone today because I'm pretty sure that most of us, and if you haven't, shame on you. But if you haven't seen the Temptations miniseries, I can't remember what year it was. I believe it was the early 90s. But you should know who we have on with us today. He actually played Eddie Kendrick, okay, in the miniseries. And his name is miniseries. Did I say series? Miniseries. And his name is Terron Brooks. Mr. Brooks.
What's happening?
How's it going?
How you doing? Let's correct. It was 1998.
Was it 98?
You don't make me too old, but yeah, wow. Let's give me a couple years.
Okay.
Say 98, pre-90s.
Yep, because I remember at the time.
That'll be very good.
Yeah, I remember at the time we had the Jacksons miniseries that came out first, right? That was that was in I think the early 90s, right? That was like 92, 94,
Absolutely.
one of those. Okay,
Yeah.
And then because we didn't have we had a few miniseries, but I think those two were my favorites, my all-time favorite miniseries. As far as music is concerned. Yeah, so that was pretty dope, man. And you you played Eddie Kendrick. That is like
I know, right?
Yes.
And you did one heck of a job. Doing
I appreciate it. I really do. I really do.
Incredible.
Right. It was an honor to do that. Yeah, and an honor to have it be so well received. I think that's honor to do it, and honor that people really received the work and really understood the story, because I think a lot of people, and since it's still playing today, they still can revisit how Motown began, and I've heard from a lot of people, even in, in this new generation that says, I didn't know anything about the Temptations, Wow. So it's really great to be part of something historical, because those historical stories last. And in order to find out where you're going, you have to find out like what happened in the past, So
Right.
it's a pretty big deal for me. Yeah.
Right.
So let me ask you something, Mr. Brooks. So how did you end up getting that role? I mean, I know there had to been auditions or something. How did that even happen?
I was 23 years old. I did not have a resume. And my agent was like, they do the Temptations. And you can imagine, if you are black and you are a guy and maybe you can sing and do a couple steps, you're going to be at the audition. So to answer your question, it just, everybody heard about it. You kind of knew about it. I did have an agent, but did I think that it was going to be a reality? Absolutely not. And was every superstar, which I won't name names, there to try to be one of the Temptations? Yes, they were.
Wow.
And I think being naive helped me. I think me thinking that this was impossible helped me, because I wasn't nervous, because you're not going to be nervous about something you don't think is possible, right? So you just go down there, and then, after 7 or 8 auditions, you're like, oh, this might be happening, and fortunately for me, I had a performing background. I had no experience. I think I had a couple TV credits, Hanging Mr. Cooper or something like that. But I did not have any like film or serious, resume that could be considered, but I did have extensive training in performing. So I think that may have been The key for me, because I can hone in on that part of the auditions. I don't know if you know the story that I auditioned for Paul originally, and then
Oh,
was changed to Eddie Kendricks by Suzanne DePass, who
Mhm.
is one of the producers of the miniseries and who was Berry Gordy's right hand person. So in
Mhm.
the room, I'm auditioning for Paul, and she stops it and says, "No, you're Eddie Kendricks." That's really the story. So
wow.
so yeah, put on my dad's suit and went on down there.
Yeah,
Well, that's
Suzanne
beautiful, man.
DePass, she
Yeah, that's
really.
beautiful. I'm glad you mentioned that because I think there was a sweet vulnerability to the role that you played with Eddie Kendrick, and I think like you said, you didn't have much of a background in acting and a huge resume itself, but I think that vulnerability really added to on how impactful that role came out for you, and yeah, it was perfectly picked for you.
I think you're right, and I think the casting, and I'd have to, applaud Jackie Brown, who casted the five gentlemen, plus the other Temptations that
Mm,
Dennis Edwards, and if you're going to get five superstars, which we did have Leon at the time, and he was really a star,
mhm.
and he undoubtedly was amazing in that role. So
Yeah.
you don't necessarily need to watch five stars become other five stars, correct? So I thought
Yeah, good
I don't
point.
we don't really do that anymore, like where we discover people. But
Mm,
I'm grateful that they took a chance on me because I think through my eyes and being unknown, I could probably be a blank canvas for people to kind of see who Eddie was, as opposed to me being a star that you have to go, okay, I know it's not him, but he's playing him, not playing him, and all that work. So I do think that the casting was impeccable. And again, like you said, that vulnerability, that was just real. So I just had to tap into who I was and find some of the identical qualities of Eddie Kendricks and just not portray, but just be. And I think that was super helpful for me in the stressful process of, hey, you got this lead
Right.
yeah,
in
that's a
this.
powerful point. Because because your face wasn't very well known, like in the acting scene, like it was that much more believable. Like even right now, like when I listen to the Temptations, your face comes up because that's how glued I was to the TV screen, to the movie screen. You know what I mean? Like you became synonymous with that character.
That's incredible. That's kind of what you want, and from the feedback that I received from people, because Eddie was a real person, right? So you're not making up
Hmm.
something that people know him, and not just people, but Diana Ross knows him, Stevie Wonder knows him, Smokey Robinson knows him. So
Exactly.
the stacks are against you if you don't do your work because people know him. But the feedback that I got was even from family members, and this is how I know it was kind of divine.
Wow.
They would say like, okay, you moved your neck like him, or you some things that I didn't study, or that I
Wow.
didn't that the mannerisms or the things that I organically was doing that was not practiced. People were saying the essence was there, and Smokey Robinson was very kind. He actually said to me that I was a ghost of his friend. And
Wow.
so
Oh my God.
if
Wow.
he is saying that, it's just a powerful thing. So I do think spiritually
That's
or
the biggest compliment you can
destiny,
get.
it's I mean the biggest
Yeah.
compliment you can get, and you can
Right.
take it arrogantly and you can say yeah, 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 or you can also, as I do, take it very humbly, because I do know that some things are just meant to be,
Yeah.
right? They're just
Right.
meant to be.
Mm.
Right. So now
Mhm.
on a choreography tip, how long did it take you to get those steps together? Because the temps were known for that precision.
Man,
Right.
yeah, no, 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 yeah. People ask me that, and there's no movie if we don't have the steps. I
Right.
mean, literally,
Right.
that's what was said when we got hired. So before you get scripts and do all that, if you cannot get these steps right, if you
Hmm.
cannot embody the performance aspect of these men,
Hmm.
because there's no stand-ins for that, right?
Right.
Some of us
Mm.
sang and some of us didn't. I
Hmm.
sang about 90% of the film, which
That
people
yeah, that
don't
was my
know,
next
but
question for you.
um,
Because
Really?
yeah,
I
yeah.
was gonna ask you about that. That's dope.
yeah, so 90% is my voice,
That's
but
huge.
it took about a month and a half. to get some of the basic steps in choreography. But I'll be honest with you, throughout the filming process, we were learning stuff all the time.
Okay.
So imagine you getting your lines and you're recording music and you're running over here. We would, even before we would shoot a scene, have to, like go over the choreography or change something. So it's pretty much like, through the whole process, learning and trying to be meticulous in those movements. And some of those gentlemen who are my brothers now did not have that background like I had, you know what I mean? And so we were able to help each other, I think, on our strengths and our weaknesses in a way that was really incredible. But no, if we did not get that part down, there would be no film.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Yep. And one more question that I have, okay, before I know Giovanni has quite a few, but one more question. That Hitsville USA replica, because that wasn't the Hitsville building.
No, not at all. We
Detroit.
shot in Pittsburgh. We
okay.
didn't. Yeah, we shot in Pittsburgh, not in Detroit. So that was recreated incredibly.
Right.
So,
because I knew the difference only because the street that it's on, like, the Hitsville USA out there. Yeah, it's on a much different street. That more looked like just like a one-way street where the replica was.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. That that was correct. We did not. And I'll be honest, I have never been to the real one. So
Really?
it's something I probably should go to.
Definitely got to visit that, man. Yep.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
That would be another great Flex Radio road trip.
Right.
Oh,
Sure.
that would be cool.
Yeah, with the Hip Hop Museum. Let's line them up, man. We got to do a tour.
Wow.
I know,
Yeah.
that would be fun. So, are you originally from LA, Terron?
Yes, I was born in Long Beach. Born in Long Beach,
Okay.
and I live in LA now with my family. So yeah, I'm a native, from California all my life. Would kind of like to move, but no, I've been here forever. So I can tell when people come and make Los Angeles what it's not. Because you hear that about Los Angeles. It's this, is that, and I do want to rep for my place. It's a lot of people who come here that create what is portrayed other places, right?
Right.
So that's always hilarious to me. Yes, there's an era of certain kind of people here, but if you were born in Los Angeles, it's different,
Right.
Right.
I was born in Inglewood, so
Okay.
I totally get what you're saying. I miss California so much compared to Georgia, and there's just like, I don't even want to go there. But okay. So you have an amazing singing voice, and I absolutely love it. And, I was sitting here wondering, like, before we even started the interview, like, what were some, or who were some of your influences that influenced you with the singing?
Well, the singing came first. I was singing since I was 6 years old, like in choir and church and whatever. And to be honest, I hated it. I did not like it. I was very shy. My parents said I really didn't like people. It was so to be able to even do what I do now is pretty miraculous. So it took a long time to get out of the shell of not liking it. However, being gifted, I do believe that God gave me a gift. So imagine somebody singing with a gift, but just is not connected to it. That's kind of was me. So people would benefit from it, but I didn't understand what was going on. So music was always in my life, and we were raised on just gospel. The Winans, Fred Hammond, like
Okay.
all of those were the heroes before we went to Motown and all the other people that I love. Philip Bailey from Earth, Wind, and Fire, before he was in Earth, Wind, and Fire. So it's like, who else? And then you get into Michael Jackson, who's a huge influence on me. Huge. Tracy Chapman, Babyface is huge to kind of my overall sound. So James Taylor I love. So it's like a diverse menu of people that I love. But I was raised on the Winans and Fred Hammond, Commission, and those kind of gospel artists. Sam Cooke, let's go way back. Sam Cooke, of course. Smokey Robinson. So a lot of a different eclectic menu of people to kind of give me an example of what I maybe could do. And so Eddie Kendrick was simple as far as the falsetto, right? I had already been singing like that. pretty much all my life. Although people are kind of shocked because Eddie Kendrick's had that special, unique voice. When they hear my own songs, they tend to think that I just do that, and that's not exactly my full voice. But yeah, from a shy kid listening to all kind of, we did listen to the Stylistics, all of those.
Yeah.
My dad can't sing worth nothing, but he sure tried to act like he was in the group. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh man. So I was aware of all of that kind of historical sound, the Four Tops, all of that.
Wow, that's so amazing and so cool. And wow, I'm just like really shocked and amazed at all that you're saying. And I also have learned that you also were in The Lion King too, and that you played Simba. What was that experience like? Because that had to be so
That's
much fun.
incredible.
Yeah, just if when I read my resume or look at my resume, I'm always amazed at the things that I did not dream about. So I was not some little kid thinking I'm gonna be on Broadway. I was not some little kid thinking I'm gonna be in film, TV. I was really young, and once I stopped being self-conscious about my voice or whatever, I just wanted to win a Grammy and get a record deal. Those are the only things I cared about. I do not have a Grammy. I do not have a record deal, but I have so many. Like, I'm an author. I write books. So my life went in so many different directions. So the Broadway thing, because I went to a performing arts high school, that's how it kind of started for me. Being so shy, being so self-conscious, to going to performing arts high school where the teachers and the people really pour into you, believe in you, lift you up. Not that my parents didn't do that, but sometimes it takes outside people to really see your gift and kind of nourish that. And I had incredible.
What school was that?
It was the Orange County High School of the Arts. It was in Orange County. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So it was on the campus of Los Alamitos High. I went to Los Alamitos High School, and then so having that guidance really kind of helped, all of that, cultivate all that. And so by the time I graduated from high school, I still wanted to be a newscaster. So I was like,
Really?
I always wanted to be married, have kids, be able to provide for them. So when you think about being an actor, to me, that was like, nah, that's not going to be enough. We're not going to be able to provide. I didn't see many people doing that, to have that example. So by the time I graduated from high school, I still wasn't convinced, So I went to USC. I didn't graduate, and then I got a call to come to New York for my first audition. I had never been to New York. I went to New York, and there's this musical called Grease. And they flew me to New York, and for this role of Teen Angel. The Teen Angel, it was like the new adaptation of Grease. They had an old one, and this was like a brand new revival, Broadway revival. So I went to New York, and I got that, So I was like, I had to tell my dad, yo, the school thing with all the money you paying, we might want to try this thing. We might want to try this thing that I'm really, going after. And I made a deal with my dad. I said, in a year's time, I will go back to school if this thing doesn't work, and obviously I didn't finish, but I got to continue to do my dreams. But long story short, Broadway was like a different path, and that was just the national tour of Greece. It was the Broadway show, but the national tour. And then after that, Lion King, and same thing, same thing like Temptations. Okay, Temptations, black guys who sing. Me, Lion King. Okay, they black people. I could be a lion. Let me go on down there. It's the same kind of same kind of dream in my mind. Like, oh, this is easy. And let me tell you this: Temptations auditions I think it was like 6 or 7 auditions. Lion King, it was like 7 times before they said yes. 7 times.
Wow.
And so by 5th or 6th, most people give up. There's something inside of me that said no. And when I tell people, young people or old people or anybody, about chasing a dream, you got to be realistic. Sometimes it is, you need to stop, and you don't keep beating down a door that's not for you. But there's sometimes intuitively you believe this you're relentless on a dream. And so, to answer your question, when that final day came and I got to be Simba on The Lion King, it was extraordinary. If you've ever seen the Broadway show, you know what I'm talking about. Most people who haven't think it's just, oh, it's like the movie. And I'm like, no, it isn't. It's like a museum. It's like a museum of art. If you've ever seen The Lion King with the puppetry, And the beauty of Black people being kings, and yes, they're animals, but the story is that they're royalty. And you just never seen anything like it. And so to be on stage as a Broadway actor, singing a song alone on stage by yourself, getting the final bow on a Broadway stage, I mean, it is nothing like it. I'll never forget that. That was my first experience, on Broadway. But
Yeah, that's the ultimate. That's the ultimate.
yeah, I mean, it is. You know what I mean? I don't idolize it too, because some people who have that dream and feel like they've done all these things and they haven't made Broadway, they diminish their life, or they diminish their experience, because the Broadway stage, I say this to people, it wasn't like I went to Broadway and I had some magic dust that flew on me and I became Broadway. No, it was all my experience prior that led me to that moment. And I was on Broadway with Broadway performers, but nothing about it transformed me per se. So if you're doing regional theater, whatever you're doing your one-man show at your time, at your church or whatever, that's your Broadway. That's your thing right now. You know what I mean? So you don't want to diminish those things like, well, I haven't done that and I haven't done that and been there, because the same guy, I had to bring him out. And even now, if I'm off Broadway or doing something different, I don't change my mind and go, well, this is not Broadway. I'm not going to give my best. You understand what I'm saying? So I just always say that, because it's elite of a few of us that get to have that dream. But if that is not for you, or has not been for you yet, I hate for people to say, because Broadway's tiny dressing rooms in New York City. It's dirty and dingy. You know what I mean? Like, yes, yes, it's Broadway, but I've had some beautiful dressing rooms in other places, right? You know what I mean? I've had some great. There's been some great stages that are not, even in America. So you don't have to, qualify those things, but I do humbly go, yeah, I got to do those things, and thank God I did a lot of those things when I was younger. Because I think when people hold on to a dream that is unfulfilled for a long, long time, that bitterness comes in. God, I didn't make it. I didn't make it. I didn't make it. I had a lot of early success. The trouble with that is that the expectations that that success would be flowing every year, I was deceived in that way, right? Because after the Temptation,
The bar is so high.
oh my, yeah, man. Can you imagine? That's the first thing that I ever did. I'm on buses. I'm on magazines. To this day, I can't go out my house without being recognized, and not just by Black people. That's a lot for a young person. That's a lot for a young person to take in, if they think
Yeah.
all of a sudden their life is going to change. And I won't get into details, but my life changed in many ways. In many ways, I was still trying to audition and try to get a job. So I'm happy it happened to me, but it took a long time to resign that, success doesn't mean it's everything's popping forever. That's a long journey. And then how do you define success? Did I define it because, I stayed on TV all the time, or do I have defined it in different ways? And I really did have to define it in different ways. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's an incredible point right there, because I mean it's already an incredible accolade. I was blown away when I found out that you played Simba in the Broadway, just to be on the Broadway stage, period. Because I always just knew you as the actor on the Temptations miniseries, and then once you hear Broadway, I mean that's serious singing right there. Like um, that in itself. So when you were on the Lion King, did you play at the Pantages here in Hollywood?
I sure did. Yeah. I
Okay, so I've
played.
seen you then.
You might have. Yeah. There's been a couple of us. You might have. Yeah. But I auditioned to be truthful for the LA version. They were doing an LA sit down of Lion King. And so I live here, so I was like, oh, that's perfect. And
Yeah.
by the time my seventh audition for Lion King, back and forth, I got New York. And a friend of mine who lives in New York got LA. So we kind of swapped jobs. And I'll be honest, they kind of told my agent, yeah, Tehran is more suited for New York or whatever. It just didn't make sense. You know what I mean?
Because you're here. You're from here.
Yeah, I mean, so that's one thing I tell people about feedback. You kind of gotta, because people will tell you anything, you know what I mean? So, I got the Broadway out of it, and then when I left New York, I came home and I did it here for a year and a half. Yeah.
Wow.
But the Lion King in itself is an incredible experience for anybody who hasn't seen it in person. It's an experience.
Yeah,
It's not just
yeah.
entertaining. Yeah, like you said, it's just seeing, Black people, just the whole culture represented, the outfits, the dance, it's just phenomenal
Yeah, the
experience.
celebration, right? It's a celebration,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's something that I will definitely cherish, and the camaraderie too. I have to mention with the people and my castmates. There's nothing like that camaraderie from people, not just my people, my brothers and sisters who look like me, but can you imagine real South African performers? That's what I don't know to this day if that's the same thing. I think it's still the same thing, that in the show they actually hire South African singers. But
Wow.
I was blessed to have 4 or 5 um close friends that were from South Africa, you know what I mean, in the show, to keep that cultural
That's dope.
thing authentic. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like you impacted and inspired so many people. That the Lion King was the first musical I took my son, who was 5 years old at the time, too.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow, that is so amazing. I'm loving this interview. Wow, Broadway music. Like, are you doing music now?
I always do music. I'm a songwriter.
Yeah.
I always do music. I always write. I got music, on Spotify and, places. But to be honest, the game has changed. You know what I mean? The game, I don't make any
Sure.
money. I don't make money off records, So, I'm a live performer. I have my own show. I have a one-man show that I created called The Soul of Broadway. I take Broadway songs and I reimagine them, take them out of the context of the play, and like if it's from Tomorrow, Annie, that song the little redhead girl sings.
Oh,
We have the orchestra playing behind it, and it sounds like an R&B song,
What?
or like Phantom of the Opera, which I did not even love
I
that
love that.
musical. We switch it around and have a gospel choir, and so so that's on Spotify right now. It's called The Soul of Broadway. So my answer to you is, yeah, it's difficult. Well, for me, I'm not signed. I'm an independent artist, right? I don't make money off of that. I make more money off of the live aspect of touring and doing concerts. But as a creator, I've switched it and said that doesn't stop me from writing songs, right? That doesn't stop me from
Absolutely.
putting things out there to uplift people, encourage people. But I have taken the monetary, tie to it right now. I've taken that away, and sometimes that's more freeing too, because you got to be realistic into kind of where the industry is right now.
Hmm.
We have TikTok, we have so many opportunities for people to blow up, and and I am not old by any means, but if I have a family, I have priorities. I can't be on TikTok for 24 hours. You know what I mean? Trying to do
Right.
videos. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
I just, what I mean?
Right.
That's not a reality for me. Nor do I want to. So,
Exactly.
um, so to answer your question, yeah, I still do music. I'm almost done with my new album. I think I gave you one of the songs from the new album that nobody's heard, so you do have one of those songs
All
if you play
right.
it.
I can't wait to hear it.
That's right.
But I'm always just I think it's different. Are you trying to be a celebrity? Are you trying to be a star? Or are you an artist and a creator? Sometimes God blesses you, and that's both, and sometimes it isn't, And so I'm not chasing celebrity or being famous or fame. I want to make art and make art that makes people feel better. So can I still do that? And yes, and that's kind of what I do. Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Okay.
there is a huge advantage of being an independent artist as well. Like you said, like uh, I'm intrigued about what you just said about turning the musicals, like the Phantom of the Opera. I want to hear your version of it now.
Oh
You know
yeah,
what I
you
mean?
got to
Like,
pull it up. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
dude.
just rebellious enough to go, wow, I can't believe you did it. but still true to what the song is, because you would hate something
Yeah.
that you love, somebody to ruin it, but to reimagine it. Because what I like, I mean, I feel like it's a church song. Like when you go to church and you sing the same hymn, sometimes
Oh man.
it loses its power a little bit because you're like, yeah, there's that hymn again, and you
Right.
just kind of sing by rote. If you just hear it in a different way, same song, it almost makes you stop and go, is that what they were saying? You know what I mean? Is that what it means? Just a
Yeah.
little bit. And so in my show, and I talk about the temptations, I talk about my family, I talk about my challenges. I do that with the backdrop of this Broadway music. So it's kind of, entertaining in one hand, storytelling in the other hand, And then you have to sit and hear. I sing from The Lion King, but I sing Circle of Life with just a piano, and I sing it like a lullaby. So there's no drums and there's no African kind of beat to it. It's just like the simplest thing. And when I draw it out, when you feel so uncomfortable, man, he's singing for 6 minutes. You start to feel something. So I think that what you're saying is that as an artist, with no one telling me that I have to do this, that I am, that independent spirit can create art because no one's telling me. And I do it. And I know people don't like it, right? I think that's, to go back when I was young, I think that's why I was so afraid to do it, because you want everyone to like it. You want everyone to like your voice. You want everyone to like what you're doing. So most people don't put a step forward because of that. Once I said, you know what, I don't like everything. Some things I don't like. Everybody has a right not to like it, right? So then you get that out of the way and you start to perform and create for people who will enjoy it, right? And so I look at social media or whatever, I look at the fans that I have. I don't look at the people who are not listening. I look at the people who are, right? So that's who you cater to.
Right.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate your honesty about like real life, like in this interview. I mean, I've grown to admire you now as an all around artist, and that's very important for all.
Yeah, I was about to say, I see why they gave him the role of Eddie. He's cool and humble. That's why they gave him the role of Eddie, and he smiles.
Yeah, well,
right.
I agree.
Yeah, Eddie was all that, but he also was serious about fairness, and you can tell how much he loved his brother Paul. So Eddie had a little edge to him as well, which I do, because when it comes down to justice and doing things right, you saw in the film even that Eddie can smile and stuff like that, but when it came down to being what was right, he stood up to Otis. He stood up for his friends, and so I think that sense of justice I do carry in my life, so that was easy. I mean, easy to portray. But
speaking of Paul, right? There was always that controversy on how he actually died. You know what I mean? Like,
yes,
yeah. So there was always like, okay, did that happen as they said in the movie, or
Well, let me be totally candid and transparent. I don't know what's going to happen with people listening. Otis is he's the only surviving member of the Temptations, right?
Right.
Otis wrote the book to the Temptations that was based on the miniseries that everyone saw. So Otis is the one that's telling the story. You know what I mean? So we got a lot of people saying, "Well, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. That didn't happen." I wasn't there.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
And unfortunately, Paul and Eddie and David, they're not here to speak, on that. So to answer your question, yeah, there's a lot of speculation on that. What I can know for sure is that Paul was in pain. You know what I mean? He was definitely in pain because Paul probably was one of the best singers and dancers, which he danced and could move. But my audition for Paul was one of my favorite songs, "Don't Look Back." Paul could flow. You know what I mean? So he was kind of sidelined, through David, and of course Eddie had a special voice. So I'm not saying that was all his pain, that he just didn't get the solo. That's not what I mean. But you have to understand, the Temptations, we were 17, 18 when that started. The story of Eddie and David and Paul. There was no help. There was like, you went from no one to someone. You went from regular clothes to tailor-made clothes going all over the world. There was no,
at a very young age.
At a very young age, right? Early families, getting somebody pregnant. Oh my gosh, we gotta have a family, going on the road.
That's right.
Trying to be, I'm not sure about Paul's family home life, right? You got to put all that into play to understand what we got out of it as these genius emperors of soul. There was a lot of pain and heartache and growing up that those young men had to do in front of everybody,
Right.
And there's no class for that. And we see that right now with a lot of our pop stars or people who have like a demise or, health problems or challenges, you know what I mean? I feel for those, I won't mention the names, but some of those young artists that were manipulated, right? And not taught, how to invest their money or how to do the money. And, so I will say about Paul, and you can only do so much in a miniseries, right? You can only say so much in 4 hours or whatever, and to speak on someone's whole life. I hate that someone's whole life can be summarized. Even in Eddie Kendrick's, he had lung cancer, right?
Mm.
And so in the movie, it just kind of goes, "Oh, Eddie died." You know what I mean? There was kind
Yeah.
of there was really no really homage to what really happened, and I understand it, but to answer your question, I
That's
wasn't
also an
there.
important point that they did start so early, and I'm super glad that they made it a mini series instead of just like a 2 hour movie or two and a
Well,
half
yeah,
hour movie.
I mean, they cut. It's more. I mean, we had longer, way more footage to put in there,
Wow.
and then it's network TV, right? Understand? So on network TV in 1998, there were parameters of what could be shown or whatever, right? So now you have Netflix, and you know what I mean. The Temptations could have been on another network where it could have been really gritty, right, and really real.
Yeah,
So
and we actually got to watch you guys get older. Like playing your roles, like
yeah,
throughout the series. That was phenomenal in itself. Phenomenal acting as well.
yeah, crazy for me to be that young to play. I think Eddie died at 48 or so.
Wow.
And I'll be 50 this year. So that's crazy.
All right.
Me
Um,
too.
what you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What we
50
doing?
just looks different now.
Don't it feel
50
good?
looks different now.
Shoot, I feel good. I tell
When's your birthday?
everybody.
When's your birthday,
Wow,
Terron? When's your birthday?
I'm October 13th.
Oh, okay, you're a Libra.
All
Okay.
right.
Yep.
Yep,
Like
yep.
me. Like me.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Mine
going
is
down.
coming up August 30th. I'm the day after Michael.
Okay.
Wow.
But yeah, you earlier in our conversation, you had mentioned Suzanne DePaz, and she was very influential with my brothers when they were starting.
Yes,
Know?
yes,
And
yes.
she just has like a wonderful, wonderful energy, and she knows what she's talking about. So when she said that to you, she felt that in her soul.
Well, no, yeah, and because she knew him. That's the funny thing. I'm just walking in. I could not dress up, play up, pretend on someone that she knew. So in hindsight, when she stopped the audition and says, "You're Eddie Kendricks," she's not. It's not a casting person. It's someone that's saying, "No, no, no. I walked with the Temptations. I knew Eddie Kendricks, and this kid is him." That's the crazy. So
That's dope.
I get excited about that because I don't know anybody's faith or whatever, but to me that means that God said it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right.
Because
Right.
I didn't have enough time to prepare to be brilliant, to be somebody that somebody knows. So my task was not to impersonate Eddie Kendricks, right? At all. It would have been messed up for me to try to impersonate him. I just had to embody what was already encouraged by everybody who cast me to find those similarities and just tell the truth. You know what I mean? And find out who Eddie was and just kind of in every scene and every moment, just embody that. You know what I mean? And that's what I tried to do.
Right. And you guys did. You know what? You guys did.
Even-
You guys did great. Like all of you guys, especially your part, of course, but Leon. Leon has that. What everybody says, it doesn't. Ain't nobody come to see you, Otis. I mean, that is like that is like one of the my all-time favorite things in a movie. Right.
Wow.
You can just see his face right now.
Well, yeah, that was improvised. That he made that up.
What?
Wow. Wow.
That was not in the script.
I was hoping he really said that. I was hoping David Ruffin really said
I'm
that.
gonna be saying that all day. Watch.
Wow.
Wow. That's so amazing.
Hey, but also, man, I was blown away that you worked with a lot of musical giants, man. Like, can you tell us a little something about like for example, like Smokey Robinson, Stevie Wonder, David Foster, Phil Collins?
Yeah, well, because Smokey was in the movie, so I met him in the movie, right? So years later, I got to sing on his record. I got to sing 6 songs on his duet record. So Elton John, Smokey Robinson, Mary J. Blige, all these people I got to sing backups for. You'll hear me on the record and work with Smokey and Randy Jackson, producer, bass player, was the producer. Randy Jackson from American Idol. Yeah, not your Randy.
Oh yeah,
Right, I'm not Randy
Jackson.
So so that was like
That's incredible, man.
seeing Smokey on set and having a brief conversation to actually having lunch with Randy and Smokey to hear stories was incredible. And then I went on tour with Phil Collins, and Phil Collins is just the most humble man. And we did a Motown thing. He did a Motown record, Phil Collins. So went on tour with Phil Collins, and yeah, I got to work with a lot of great people, and a lot of legendary people.
You were on tour. You were on tour with Phil Collins.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So
Wow.
a lot of those things help shape, the artist that I am, and the person that I am. Because if you met Smokey Robinson, he's just the most down to earth. And I can't understand why anybody rich and famous wouldn't be down to earth. What is your problem that you could not be nice? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But that's just me. That's just me.
Right.
That's just me. But you talk about Phil Collins and Smokey and Stevie's his soul, and I've been really, really lucky.
Yeah. I mean, those guys made. I mean, especially when you say Phil Collins, man. I mean, Phil Collins, Philip Bailey. Back in the day, man,
Oh
listen,
my God,
Easy
yeah.
Lover,
Yeah,
listen, man,
yeah.
they don't make songs like that no more, man.
They
Jeez.
don't, and everybody's trying to chase a true, authentic, fresh thing. But we haven't had it since, I don't know. I want to say since the likes of Michael. There'll never be another Michael Jackson. You know what I mean? So
Right.
we're all influenced by that, and that's the point. But trying to break out of what is popular to create something new, I don't know if we're in that era anymore, guys. I don't know if we're in the era of really artist development, or really trying to break a star, as we are in carbon copies what works,
Exactly.
And so
Originality.
and it's out there.
Originality.
It's out there, but on the main, to break through these days, it seems difficult. You gotta, and also you gotta already have your followers and your whole crew before they even sign you. They don't, the record companies don't want to.
Right.
They don't want to do anything. You know what I mean?
That's a social media phenomenon right there. It's like, oh, they got 50 million views. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
they're talented. Let's do it. And if they're
Right.
not talented, who cares? They got let's give them sponsorships.
Let me
Let's
ask you
do
this:
it.
what do you think about?
the
What do you think about being able to stream? You think that kind of killed it as well? Because see, I remember once, man, where we always look forward to the new thing coming out, right? The new record coming
Absolutely.
out. Tuesdays are coming out.
Having
Yeah,
it
we
in your
gotta get
hand, right? Having it,
Yep.
reading who's on it. Yeah, all of that stuff, which you still can do.
Yep.
I mean, there's good and bad in both things. We're just in a whole new era, so you have to progress.
Right.
But a lot of people, a lot of artists are not getting their just due financially
That's what
because
I
of the
heard,
streaming.
Right.
Um, but adversely, you can find it. It's easy to find my music now and just go get it. You know what I mean? And have it. And like I said earlier in the interview, that's why I make it in a different way. I already know I'm not making a lot of money. You know what I mean? So it's more of an offering. It's more of a gift. You know what I mean? It's really my, my business card. Hey, go to Spotify and hear some music, and then hopefully that will get me another job or another placement, right? But I don't know to bash one thing for the other. I'm glad I was born in a place where I remember, you know what I mean? Those good times like that. And then I'm coming into the new times. I love, my age and being kind of in the middle of how it started, and then where it's going now. But any good artist has to pivot. You have to know how to pivot. We had a pandemic. You have to know how to, be flexible, and what are you going to do now? And so if I were to give advice to any artist, including myself, the reason why I am successful in my own mind, by my own definition, is because I was flexible. Because if they came with Broadway and I was like, no, I just want to win a Grammy, I wouldn't have done it. I would have been on one track mind. I got to do this. So my ability to morph and flex and go, okay, I'll try that, I'll do that, really, really enhanced my creative journey and my artistic endeavors. I saw more than I ever thought I could see before. So I still have those old dreams. And now I could probably get a deal and be signed, because I've had so much freedom to do my own thing. I probably could listen to somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a bad thing to have someone say, oh, we want you to do this. Okay, I'll do that. Cool. Because I've had so much time to create and explore who I am and what I want to say. So I'm looking forward. I don't believe in age and capses and time, like you can't do it. I feel like I'm physically stronger, mentally stronger. I think I sing better now than I did before. So it's like, come on, 50, let's do it.
That's amazing.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Flexibility on the flex. Yeah, that's why you're starting on the flex right now. Flexibility.
Got you sound bite.
Yeah, man. Well,
I
listen.
think that's the recipe, though, staying open to the music.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And not like letting ego trump anything, because you're
Mhm.
so extremely humble.
Yeah.
And I just really feel like
Yeah.
you can do whatever it is you like. You know what I'm saying? Because you're just in that mindset, and it's wonderful. And I'm so happy for you and everything that you've done.
I appreciate it. You guys asked to talk to me, and I always jump at the chance to say yes to whatever that is, for people, because I think people need to be inspired and need to know the journey of other people, because that's how we kind of get inspired, by hearing somebody else's story. And
Right.
then you're like, oh, if they can do it, because without the story, you make it up.
That's
You know,
true.
Right.
Yeah.
people don't know. They don't know me. So, oh my God, it must have been this. No, they don't know. I wore my dad's suit and went down there. I had no experience in
That's
that way.
dope.
They don't
Yeah.
know. So you
It
go on.
personalizes it.
Yeah, you got to personalize it so you can believe that there's a possibility for you to do it. So anybody who's made it, so-called made it,
Mhm.
doesn't want to reach your hand and tell people how they did it. I think it's a shameful thing,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
Man.
And
Yeah,
unfortunately, there's a
I
lot
love
of
your
folks out there
attitude,
that's like
man.
that. Unfortunately, there's way too many people like that. But I'm glad.
yeah, well, they forget.
Right.
Yeah, they
Exactly,
forget.
man. Yep. But we appreciate you.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, you're very humble and yeah, man. So we definitely gonna
Very
keep in.
refreshing.
Yeah, man. We definitely gonna keep in touch with you, man, because we got to have you on again. When you come out with some future projects. I know you got some stuff in the works now. Heard your song "Honest." Actually, I played it when I was on the flight. When you sent it to me, I was on the flight.
Okay.
Yeah, I was on my way to
Got
New
it,
York.
got it,
So
got
yeah, yep. So we will be playing that on the station, of course. And just for the audience, for our audience, your fans, tell us how they can reach you. You're on social media, I know.
Yeah, where you met me, right? Yeah, go on
Right.
social media. I'm always on Instagram. I always write people back. It's definitely me. So Instagram,
Oh,
Terron
okay.
Brooks, Facebook occasionally, but those two platforms for sure, Instagram, and I usually try to get back to people that write. And then my website is TerronBrooksOfficial.com. You can go on that and check me out and see what. And then Spotify and Apple Music, if you got that, go listen to any of the records. The Solo Broadway album is actually on both of those platforms, and I'm touring with that show now. So
Nice. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
So
man.
yeah, man. So you
Very refreshing,
guys.
man. I love your attitude. Your accolades are super impressive, but it's an incredible balance to who
Yeah, most
I've
definitely.
learned to
Yeah.
to know you as a person now. You know what I mean? It's beautiful journey, man.
Yeah. Most
yeah, I
definitely,
appreciate that.
man.
You would hope that now when you hear the music, then there's a tie to that, right? That's what
Mhm.
I think. And I know as artists, we don't have to be everything our art dictates. But for me, I think it enhances when people know me and then they go and see what I do. I think it gives them a little bit more. So I want that to be as genuine as possible, So
Right. Right.
thank you guys.
Yeah,
Appreciate you
we
guys. Happy
appreciate you,
birthday to
man.
you.
Yeah, well, yeah, you two coming up, man. I know we'll
Yeah, happy
communicate before
50th,
then, but yeah,
man.
happy 50th, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
you and Giovanni getting up there, man, in age. So yeah, you guys.
Yeah, we
Ah.
I mean, I'm in my 50s, so I mean, yeah,
I'm out here.
it is a different look now. We definitely look different than 50 used to look back in the day. Where you teach your whole.
Oh yeah.
They'd be like
Yeah,
40. You'd be like,
right.
oh
No,
my
no.
God, am I gonna look like that when I
No.
turn?
It's Man, have you seen Ernie Hudson? He's 78
he's
years
70.
old.
Wow. Yeah, he looks good.
78
He
years
looks great.
old. So come on, we can make it. We
Right.
can make
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
He looks amazing. He looks amazing. Yep. But yeah, man. So
Yeah.
once again, it was great having you, and yeah, we definitely welcome you back, man. So once again, this is your man David L. David with Giovanni Jackson and the Invincible Artists, and you heard us chatting with Mr. Terron Brooks, aka Eddie Kendrick from the Temptations miniseries, right here on the Flex Radio. All right, keep it tuned right here. We will be right back.
Hey, what's happening? This is Terron Brooks, and you're listening to the Flex Radio.